Good evening, good evening, good evening. And what is up? It is your favorite Monday night sports talk show, and that is Dr. We E Talk Sports, where we can give you the news that you can use and make you smarter at the water cooler when you are at work. So before we begin, we got a big show for you tonight. We're going to be talking about the NFL schedule release. We waited an extra week just to give you the NFL schedule release, talk about the winners and losers, because we know it's not just about how good your team is, about when they play, who they play, how they play. Is it indoors, outdoors, home, away, all that stuff that plays a big role. We're also going to be talking about we're going to talk a little bit about the NBA playoffs. They have been really good. I don't know if anybody's been watching it, but they have been really good this year. And is this the year of the Knicks? I know this is going to be the seventh year. Just for quickly, this is the seventh year in a row where we're going to have a new champion in the NBA as the Celtics are now out. So we've got four teams, all of which will be a new champion again this year. So we're going to talk a little bit about that and who you're pulling for. And then finally, we're going to tack on at the very end if we've got time. Brock Purdy got a new contract. What does that mean for the 49ers as he is north of $50 million per year? What does that mean for the team? Because when the quarterback starts sucking all the money out the salary cap, some better players got to go. Veteran players got to go. You got to get you some young players. So all that, but I'm not here by myself, and I got my co-host, Dr. Brown. What's going on? How you doing?
I'm good. How you doing, Ellis?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm glad you see. I see you repping FAMU tonight. We're not gonna get it at tonight, but
No, no.
we got enough time to talk about that. But okay, so the schedule was dropped on the 14th with a couple teasers. What jumped out
A
to
lot of
you?
teasers.
Well, what jumped out to you immediately when you saw the schedule, the full schedule?
Well, see, I got the first thing that was leaked was the opening game with the Eagles and the Cowboys, which I wasn't happy about. And what was the second leak? Might have been. How many I think we five of our games were leaked before the actual schedule came out.
Yeah, well, there was a Kansas City and Dallas playing on Thanksgiving, so that
Mm-hmm.
was also leaked. And then Kansas City and
Black
the
Friday,
Eagles playing on they're playing like the second
fair,
week or something like that.
fair.
Um, so yeah, there were a few leagues that were all around the Eagles, Kansas City, and Dallas. A lot of them were in one of those three teams. Um, you know,
So I got mad because I'm like, why the Cowboys getting all these primetime games and they suck? Do people think they're actually going to be good this year? Or is it just a marketing ploy to get people to watch?
it's a marketing ploy. I think they're if I haven't seen their full schedule. Like
Their schedule is hard,
it's
particularly.
very hard, but I thought it felt like it was front loaded. Like most of their primetime games are other than the Thanksgiving game. I thought most of their games are like early in the season because I think as they get worse, people are gonna watch them less. But
Oh, the primetime games. You might be right about the prime, but I know their schedule gets harder toward the end.
yes, I'm not sure. Jerry Jones has a lot of power. Dallas Cowboys, despite what we feel about them, they have a large fan base.
They do.
Even though they have been terrible for over a
30 years.
quarter century.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
We were at FAMU, basically.
and I won't say terrible.
They haven't made it to a NFC championship game.
They have not sniffed being a team that could really challenge for a Super Bowl title in over 30 years. But Jerry likes to keep them interesting, and he likes to keep them in the news. And because of the way he has been able to negotiate the CBA and a lot of this and the value of his franchise, he holds a lot of weight. So he tends to get preferential treatment when it comes to scheduling. I don't have as much of a problem with that as I do the fact that they're not very good, and so
they're not. But they may be better this year than last. But are they going to be competitive? Are they going to have 10 wins?
No. unless, let me say this, unless
I mean, you know.
it's not even, I don't see it. I mean, unless George Pickens goes off, if Dak has to stay healthy,
See, I
they
don't
have
think him
to,
and Dak go. I don't think he's right for Dak.
yeah, Dak's not a deep ball thrower. That's not his game.
Yeah, so I don't think they, you know, gonna mesh. And I don't know if Pick is he gonna be a problem in the locker room? Who knows?
Well, the one thing that Jerry Jones tends to like is that he makes them interesting, right? And so Jerry would rather be interesting than viable as a team. So he makes them interesting. He makes you talk about them. And so I think I just don't like the deal about for Pittsburgh because that team is terrible, terrible. Um, Even with Aaron Rodgers, I don't see them
So
winning more.
I
I
don't.
don't see
It
them
might
winning more
be
than
one
eight
year
games.
that Tomlin goes
Yeah, I don't see
500.
winning more than
Might be
eight
good for
games.
them. They might get a quarterback. In the long run, it might be good for them.
They have to pick one.
I'm
You
talking about
know,
the year after. If they suck next year, they might get a quarterback the following year. So it
I don't trust Tomlin to pick a quarterback in the first round. They haven't done it in. I don't even know was
they
Big Ben.
haven't
I don't
had
think Big Ben was a first round pick.
they haven't had to because they had Roethlisberger forever. Before that, who was the quarterback? Right before him.
Um, a bunch of fill in the blank guys. After Bradshaw was like God, what was the dude's name? The guy that looked like Tom Selleck. Remember him? And then yeah, there was a bunch of also rans until they got Roethlisberger. And so yeah, you're right. It could be something for the Steelers that if they do have their first losing season, they can get closer to picking a quarterback. The thing is, they've got to pull the trigger on drafting one. They had opportunity this year. Shador was right there for them,
Yeah,
and they passed. So, and not that Shador is a franchise-changing quarterback, but they're going to have to do a lot of losing to get to Arch Manning.
top picks.
Yeah, and so, and I don't know if their fan base. I don't know if Tomlin can survive going 3-14.
I
And
don't think
that's
I don't
that's,
think
that's
it'll be that bad. I don't think they'll be that bad.
right. And that's what I'm like. I don't. Their team plays really hard. They run out of gas. So the first half of the season, they'll play spirited football, but then
Yeah, well,
they
and
don't have
they're in a tough
the
division too. So I don't know when their division games are.
they don't have the players. So um, I do think a couple of teams got some breaks in terms of
The Bills.
the Bills guys. The Bills and the 49ers got the two easiest schedules
Yeah.
by
The
far.
Bills don't even like leave the East Coast. I think it's like one game in the Texas.
One game they leave the East Coast, so they get to play on this side of the country their entire season. I think that was a gift because they have been the media and have been trying to prop up Josh Allen, and he doesn't deliver in the playoffs, and so they gave him
He doesn't.
they
But
home field advantage. They're going to give him home field advantage again. He's got to mess it up.
they
You know,
didn't do any favors for Lamar.
no, no, and that almost felt like backlash, right? He's like, wait, why?
Some of it is like is the division. You know, you play the NFC South or whatever. You know, some of it you can't control. You might can control where they play, but you don't control who they play. And as far as those, your division and the one division that you play, we're playing the AFC West, which is next year.
Yeah, that's tough.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean the 49ers, they're listed as a winner. The Cowboys, as we already talked about, listed as a loser. The Bucks are listed as a winner. Um,
Why we play them every year in Tampa early, which I think is a bust because it's always hot.
yeah,
We play
and
them,
that and
and
that's
I'm like,
always
wow,
tough.
we're not in their division. We play. It seems like every year we play them in Tampa.
The Lions are listed as a loser. They got a tougher schedule, and Minnesota Vikings are listed as a loser.
But their division is hard too. Well, who knows?
And they're bringing in a rookie quarterback.
Yes,
Well,
You don't. Yeah, you don't know. Even though I think they're still gonna be good. They might not be as good as they were last year. I think the the defense is good. The coach is good. The wide receiver is good. We don't know what the quarterback's gonna be though. So.
Yes.
But the coach is the quarterback coach. So I mean, I think they'll be decent. But I don't know if they're gonna be as good as they were last year. Because that was a surprise anyway to me.
Well, I'm hoping that there might be a flip flop. So in that division, I think that the Bears are on the come up.
But they got a hard schedule. They start off with 2 divisional games, and the Cowboys. Who knows what that game's gonna be?
Yeah, I'm more worried about their division than the Cowboys.
Gonna be the Vikings, and then it's Detroit the second game.
Remember, the Bears they rebuilt their offensive line.
Yeah, I know. But you
had some good skill players.
Start off with 2 hard games. They'll be 2-1 maybe.
And then they picked up Grady Jarrett to bolster the defensive line from the Falcons. So Grady's probably got 1 or 2 good years left. Especially if he's playing on a good defensive line. Last year in Atlanta, he was the only guy we had on the D line, and so he got double teamed all the time. Hopefully, the Bears have better defensive personnel, and he can get those single teams and one-on-one, and he can beat one-on-one. Double teams are tough to play that for 17 straight games.
But their schedule is not easy though.
No.
So, they might not even make the playoffs. They'll be better than they were last year, I believe, but they might not even make the playoffs. It's a tough division.
Well, I you know what? The team that I'm worried about the most in that division is Green Bay. I'm not sure.
Love is
right. Love is.
Yeah, I don't know their schedule. The beginning of their schedule. I know we play them in November. I guess it's second week. What's their schedule?
Yeah, so they're saying Minnesota plays after their bye week. They play Philadelphia, Chargers, Detroit, and Baltimore. 4 straight weeks. So that's gonna be the big revealing of how good they really are with JJ McCarthy. So we'll see. They're not going to go 14-3. I'll just say that. That's the
Packers start with the Lions, the Commanders, the Browns, and the Cowboys.
Lions, Commanders, Browns, and Cowboys. So they're 2-2.
Should be.
Because I don't see the Packers beating the Commanders or the Lions.
Where do they play? I don't either, but the Commanders game, the Browns, the Cowboys, they should be. Detroit will be close though, because Detroit, they have a new offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator. Mm-hmm. So, and then their defensive player, is he back playing? I don't know if he's 100% yet.
Did they elevate? So I don't know who are taking those roles. Did they promote somebody from within?
I don't know who they.
OC.
Let me see. I don't know who their defensive and offensive coordinators are.
That's interesting. All right, so they're saying that Cincinnati is a winner. They've got some rough patches from week 3 to week 7. They take on 5 playoff teams: Minnesota at Denver, Detroit at Green Bay, and then home on Thursday Night Football against the Steelers. That they should have.
John Morton is their new offensive coordinator. He was previously with the Broncos.
Okay, so they hired from without. Okay.
So what about the DC? Who's going to be calling the plays?
They said the Giants. The Giants have a
tough schedule. So
their combined winning percentage of the teams they're playing is almost 60%, 57.4%.
The defensive coordinator is their linebacker coach, so he's in-house. Kelvin Shepherd.
Three of the New York's first four opponents made the postseason in 2024. The Commanders, Chiefs, and Chargers. Over the first 8 weeks of the year, it's 6 playoff teams. Oh, there's a game that got leaked. Remember the first game of the season, Pittsburgh versus New York Jets.
Oh, because they think Aaron Rodgers is going to be.
Yeah, they think Aaron Rodgers is going to be the quarterback. So that game got leaked, and
then he plays they play in Green Bay too. The Steelers play in Green Bay, I do believe.
They do, and so they know what they're doing. I looked at the Falcons' schedule. I'm not. It's probably middle of the road. I'm concerned about the defense. Very concerned about the defense for the Falcons. And teams with film on Michael Penix, is he going to take that next step? He looked good, like it wasn't overwhelming. Can he continue? He looked like an NFL starting quarterback, but can he continue that growth? Can he get to that next level? And that's the key for the Falcons. So I would say, now that you've seen the schedule, any changes on your division winners?
Well, I think we're going to win the division, but in 20 years, the NFC East
21 years and counting.
Yeah, so.
But there's not another team other than the Commanders that could challenge you all for that, because the Giants are terrible and the Cowboys are terrible. So you only have one team left.
Could be, and we don't play each other till week 16 and 18.
Yeah, so it's like, right, and that could be for the division.
So they think that's going to be the division.
That's why. Barring injury, it'll be between those two teams. I think the Commanders are going to either have to come back down to earth, or they're going to have to improve, because remember how many one-score games that they won last year. They won 8-4 in one-score games last year, with a couple on clock-ending field goals where
Hail Mary.
So that's not going to happen again this year. So they're going to have to win these games. So I like what they did.
Study him. So they're going to study him. They're going to be better prepared for him this year than. Not saying he's going to be great, but they're going to be better prepared for him this year than last year.
I think the person that has to improve the most on that team is the offensive coordinator, because people figure out his offense.
Yeah.
And Jaden, he is a force multiplier. He made that offense look better than what it was by the end of the year, but it got stale. So they're going to have to figure that out, because Jaden is a really good player, but if teams are smart.
Yeah. And they got more tape on it.
Yeah. So
and their defense is great. I don't know how it's going to be this year. So
I don't trust Dan Quinn. Remember, I had him here in Atlanta.
Yeah, I know. Super Bowl with Patriots.
So he starts off really, really well, and then he doesn't make the right adjustments. And so over time, his defense and his offense they get worse and worse and worse. They peak early, and then they fade. That's been his MO. And so I'm hoping DQ and Jaden Daniels will probably slow that descent, because he's such a dynamic player. But
you think he's going to have a sophomore slump, although not stuck?
Remember, he's older though.
He played longer. Yeah.
So I think there's less likely of that. I think there's more likely of a potential injury, because he keeps putting himself in harm's way, and he's not very big. That's one thing. And two, again, the offense has got to get more creative, right? And they've got to build something. They can't just say, Jaden, go win it for us, because that's not a good formula. Ask the Chiefs that in the Super Bowl. They just thought we're gonna roll out Patrick Mahomes and everything was gonna be good, and they got stepped on.
So how you think the Chiefs gonna be? They're
I
scheduled.
think the Chiefs are gonna lose the division for the first time in a number of years.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. The Broncos are too good. They could have won the division last year if it wasn't for that last second field goal. Remember, the Chiefs beat them one week with the last second field goal. And then I think the Chargers are only going to get better because they picked up a running back from the Steelers and they have worked on their offensive line. And I think they
Yeah,
picked
they
up
got our offensive line.
right. So the Chargers are going to be better, and the Chiefs haven't done enough to stay dominant. And remember, they were the commanders of the AFC. How many one score games did they win
A lot.
last year? So
A
you
lot. Yeah.
they can't rely on that. You got to have some blowouts. You got to have some easy wins, and they work too hard to just get to back to the Super Bowl for that third shot. And I applaud them for that. But when they got to the Super Bowl, when you don't have enough horses in the stable, Philadelphia just beat the brakes off them, and we saw that coming. Um, but there was this kind of underlying theme that was Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid. They may be able to figure it out. No, they can't figure out how to when you don't have a left tackle or a right
Yeah,
tackle.
yeah. And when you have a good yeah.
You got a guard playing tackle. It was bad, you know. It was really really bad. So I don't think the Chiefs are that. That's why I'm changing my pick for the division winner for the AFC West to the Denver Broncos.
Yeah.
I think Sean Payton and I'm not a Bo Nix fan, but I think he works in Sean Payton's offense. Um, I have to look at how their schedule plays out, but I think
So who you think will win the AFC ultimately
I
next?
think they're trying to give it to the Bills.
Do you think the Bills are going to win, or is it going to be Lamar again?
I want it to be Lamar,
Lamar's schedule's harder.
but I think it's going to be Buffalo, barring injury. We know everything we're saying is like
Yeah.
assuming everybody stays healthy to keep people to stay healthy. But I think with Buffalo having an easier schedule where they don't have to
Yeah,
worry about
yeah.
non-changes, I think and now the thing about just like the Chiefs own the Bills in the playoffs, the Bills own the Ravens in the playoffs, and so I I'm just concerned. I think Lamar gets a little too amped up for these playoff games, and he's got to slow it down. Otherwise, it's going to be another year, and they're going to start questioning him. And I,
They already are pretty much.
they are, yeah. I mean, and then they released their kicker, right? So Justin Tucker's gone.
Yeah, although last year he was.
And what is it? What is it about that division? You got all of these predators.
He wasn't great. The game I went to, he missed a few. I was like, thank you. He missed a few.
Predators, and this whole like Deshaun, Justin, the whole.
I don't know that was just weird. All of that.
It got less play. I mean, we can speculate as to why it didn't make as much headlines as Deshaun's did, but he does play. He is a kicker, so
But he's like one of the most famous kickers, though.
yes. And maybe he knew what was coming. He didn't have a good year this year, and maybe he knew what was
but
coming.
last year he was, him, the Steelers kicker. Who else has a great kicker?
Maybe he knew what was coming. With the lawsuit, and it was in his head.
Stressed him out and messed up his because kickers are real.
Yeah,
they're different. And they're a little different.
Yeah, gave him the yips a little bit. So my pick for that division, I still would pick the Ravens because Cleveland is still trying to find themselves. There seems to be a disconnect between the ownership box and the coaching staff. And when there's that kind of issue, there's no unity. You got to have unity from the top down. The Bengals have given up on defense. They just put all of their money in offense and said, we're going to score a lot of points and hope our defense can hold on.
What happened? In playoffs. You should
And
see.
that's not a winning formula.
Look at the
and Pittsburgh has one of the, if not the worst roster in the NFL.
True, and no quarterback as of yet.
No quarterback. They lost their primary running back. They lost their primary receiver. What are the Steelers?
Tomlin.
So and an aging TJ Watt, an aging defense that was good a year or two ago. Now they're on the other side of their prime, so they can still give you some. But I don't know if they can give you 17 good games with a bad offense going 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out. They're going to run out. And remember, we talked about this, and this is that number. The magic number is 60 plays. If your defense is playing more than 60 plays a game, you have a problem. And teams are going to score late. They're just going to keep getting the ball, and they're going to score late because they're going to run out of gas. Or somebody's going to get injured. Hayward, somebody's going to get injured because they're playing too many plays. More plays, more apt for injuries. You get tired, injuries, things of that nature. So I think the Steelers will be at the bottom with fighting for the bottom with the Browns.
When do you think Shador is actually going to play?
I think Shador will probably play sometime after week 8 or 9. I think they're going to start with Flacco/Pickett. I think the Flacco magic had that one miraculous run, but then last year they brought him back in Indianapolis, and after 2 games he was terrible. I think that's going to be, and then Pickett is a backup quarterback. In his mind, he doesn't think it, but he's a backup quarterback.
Yeah.
Really and I think Dylan Gabriel is a backup quarterback. He didn't do anything special. He was at a stacked team in Oregon, a stacked team at Oklahoma, and he was okay. So he's not anybody that's, he's not big enough. And here's the issue. He's a left-handed quarterback, which that shouldn't be an issue because Penix is a left-handed quarterback. But that is a different spin on the ball. So if it's an adjustment period, so you can't have him coming in. So I think Shador, by the fact that he's smarter, he's accurate. I think he'll be starting probably midway through the season at some point. But I still think the Ravens are the team to beat in that division, even with the harder schedule, because all you have to do is win your division. You don't have to worry about, if you win a division, maybe go 6-2, 7-1. Well,
Yes,
6 games, you play 2 against everybody else. So yeah, maybe 5-1. They're not going to win all of their division games. They'll probably lose 1 in Cincinnati.
Chiefs too. Let's see. Let me find the Ravens schedule.
But yeah, I do think the Ravens will win that. I think the Bucs will probably win the NFC South just because I don't trust the Falcons defense. The Bucs have the more kind of settled quarterback. Their defense is pretty good. They still got a good receiving core and a coach and a offensive coordinator that believes in running the ball. So and Baker can make plays. So
that heat. People come down and does something to them.
New Orleans has Tyler Shuck as quarterback. That's all I got to say about that.
New Orleans, that's a whole mess right there.
And the wild card is Carolina. They were playing well at the end of last year. Can they build on that momentum, or will Bryce Young regress to the mean?
I think they'll be better, but they won't be as good as.
They had a decent draft, but they're going to rely on a lot of young players because the older players aren't that good that they picked up, and so he's going to have to make a step up. He did at the end, like I said, after he got benched, he came back in, played well. If they put some pieces around, particularly in the offensive line, he needs time.
Somebody to throw to too. So
he could be decent, and that team could be dangerous. So they're like the wild card in the NFC South. But I think it's the Bucs. I will go Bucs, Falcons. Maybe that's a homer pick. Bucs, Falcons, Carolina, New Orleans. In that order. Because we beat the Bucs twice last year, but I was.
Right, it was close. Both of them were close.
I was like, "Oh, we got 2. Okay."
Close. But then Kurt, what's going to happen with Kurt? Is somebody going to pick up Kurt?
I think they're going to wait till June or July.
If Aaron doesn't come to the Pittsburgh, I think they're going to get Kurt.
That is a possibility. Um, and Kirk played with Arthur Smith, so they know how he plays. I thought Cleveland would pick him up, but I guess the Falcons don't
Yeah,
want to get rid of him
yeah.
until after June 1st. I think that's the date.
Oh
Um,
yeah, but they got 4 quarterbacks at the time. Well, I bet they could picked him versus
instead of Flacco, I thought they were going to get him instead of Flacco because, and he's played with Stefanski before. Stefanski was the OC in Minnesota before he got the head coach job, so he knows Stefanski. He knows his offense. So I thought that was and frankly, him and Shador are the same player. You know, accurate, heady, can run your offense, but it's nothing dynamic physically. I think he's probably got a little bit stronger arm
Kirk.
than Kirk Cousins, but other than that, they're the same player. So I was like, you bring in a guy that you want your. I'm a fan of your backup mimicking your starter, right, in terms of their skill
Yeah,
set.
because it's the team dynamics too. So
Right, right. They want to get used to it. They need to get used to it. So you can't have Cam Newton behind Kirk Cousins. It's two different game styles.
that's true.
So we'll see. I think so. We said, and the Raiders are going to be terrible. Like when we're talking about the AFC West, the Raiders are going to be terrible. I mean, they'll be serviceable. I take that back.
They might be better because I mean they're gonna be better than last year. I think. Not saying that much because it's a tough
Well,
division.
they've got some good pieces. Gino, serviceable.
Coach,
Josh Jacobs, great. Coach, he has pedigree, but you
well, he
know,
old, but yeah,
they've got a great tight end. Brock Bowers is the truth. They've got some pieces on defense. That's
yeah,
so they're not an easy win, and I think that's
yeah.
the
Think about who they beat last, like they beat the Chiefs at Christmas Day. They beat the Ravens last year. They can surprise you, but I don't think they're gonna go far.
no. They'll probably top out like 6-7 wins. They'll beat a couple teams that they shouldn't have beat, but then they'll lose some games that they shouldn't have lost. And so they're going to radar it up because ownership is terrible. So and maybe Pete Carroll can silence and can but I'm not. I think Geno Smith has limitations as a
Yeah,
quarterback.
all right.
So
You played him.
you know. All right. So we said AFC West, AFC South. That is probably the most fluid division because Tennessee's breaking in a new quarterback.
Yeah, so
Indianapolis has got a quarterback, two quarterbacks. When you have two, you don't have one. You got Richardson and Danny Dimes trying to battle, so that's interesting.
Jacksonville.
Jacksonville's got a whole new coaching staff. They're trying to see if Trevor is worth the money. He hasn't proven himself to be yet. He's going the other opposite direction. And who else is that? Tennessee, Indianapolis, and Houston. So
Houston.
Houston's the only one that's really worth a damn. But their offensive line is getting worse. And as you know, teams with the bad offensive line don't do well. I don't care how good your quarterback is. They've got good skill players, good, not great. A solid running game. Diggs is coming off injury. So is the other receiver. Remember, he hurt his leg late in the season.
Yes, I remember that game.
Dislocated his kneecap. So they've got some injuries at key skill positions. They've got offensive line that's shaky and a defense that's good.
But it's a weak division, so
It's a weak division, so they should be
I
able to
think
win.
they should win.
I
That
think 9 games will win that division.
yeah.
9 wins. It's bad, but I would say Houston, um, Jacksonville,
Jacksonville,
Indy, and then Tennessee.
Tennessee, yeah.
Tennessee, because with the rookie quarterback,
Let's
they're
surprise.
your division, I think the Eagles, as they stay healthy, they're the team to beat. That 21-year streak is freaky as hell, and it's giving me some pause. But if I was a gambling man, I would put money on the Eagles to win the division because Cowboys are terrible. They have a bad roster and a meddling
Yeah,
owner
a new coach.
and a new coach who is
Even though Flus is actually a good defensive quarterback.
he's a career assistant, and now he's got elevated. So Dak, what are you going to get? Injuries 2 years in a row.
Yeah, and
No running game whatsoever.
they got. Well, I don't know. They didn't pick up a running back I know they got Miles, who used to be our running back a while ago. He was good, but that's been a while because he's been in Carolina and somewhere else, and now he's with the Cowboys.
I think they may have drafted somebody late. I'm not sure, but it's I don't see much. They've got a decent tight end, and now they've got Pickens Pickens and CD coexist. They both are diva wide receivers, and so is there enough balls to spread it around? It will Schottenheimer or the OC call the right plays? There's a lot that goes into all of that, and you know, Dak's got another leg injury, so that's going to slow him down even more. I think he'll be more reluctant to run. And they did some work on the offensive and defensive line.
We did. They got that on draft.
So we'll see. But I'm going Eagles, Commanders, Cowboys, Giants, and that's just because the Giants are terrible. They're just bad, and they got a bad schedule.
And they got a hard schedule too.
And they got a hard schedule. So I know we're Mississippi. Oh, that's right. The Central NFC.
And
Hutchinson's coming back from that leg injury.
Yeah.
So that'll make the defense better.
But who knows how he's going to be at the
end. You saw what happened to the Eagles when they had to switch their offensive and defensive coordinator. They took a step back. That first year, then y'all wanted
because we had incompetent people too.
Right. So that's what I'm worried about with the Lions. They've got good pieces in place, but you got to call the right plays at the right time. And if that person, if the OC, he's coming from another place, has he ever called plays before? So there's a lot that goes into that. So I'm leaning Green Bay, but I don't know what you're going to get from Love. Yeah. So let's say Detroit. Because it's hard to lose that many more games after having a great season. I would say Detroit, Green Bay. I'm going to go Chicago, Minnesota, just because Minnesota has a
I think Minnesota is going to be better than. I think Chicago is going to be the worst, but I might be wrong. But
I still think it'll be third. I mean, Chicago's not going to be better.
I think Minnesota is going to be better than Chicago. I might be wrong, but I just have a feeling.
With JJ.
It's just Bears. I understand who they have and who they picked up and who the coach is, but I really think the family's cursed or something. Because when you think they're good, they never are.
I think much like what happened with Detroit, I think they got the right coach.
Because like Trubisky, when he was there, they made the playoffs that one year, and then they went back to being the Bears.
The moves that this head coach has made, I have been thoroughly on board, because the first thing he did was shore up that offensive line from the middle.
I understand what you're saying. This is just the feeling I have because of the Bears organization. I feel like they're cursed or something.
My biggest concern for the Bears is, will Caleb Williams develop? And this stuff that's been coming out about this book and the fact that he's in the meeting, he's in there, he's watching film by himself as a rookie, which is ridiculous as an organization. How are you letting a rookie, nobody give him any perspective? So he's watching film. He may not even know what he's looking at. So
that's my brother. I don't even know why he's from Mississippi. But
so I'm going Lions, Packers, Bears, Vikings.
Okay, well, see, I'm switching the last two, but we'll see.
Okay. I don't know.
I trust the Vikings staff better than I trust Chicago. I mean, I trust the coach, but just the Bears in general.
Oh, we got one more division, then we'll talk about your brother's Knicks and 6 pick. The NFC West. San Francisco got a break, but they got rid of a lot of veteran players to be able to cut the check to Brock Purdy. And Brock Purdy is not a Patrick Mahomes. He needs everything. He needs good players around him, and they had to get rid of the good players. Debo, gone. You don't know what you're going to get with Ayuk coming off that knee injury. You signed Kittle. And you're always going to have that running game.
4 and
But
2.
without Debo, is that running game going to be as dynamic?
Don't know. And I forget Debo's in Washington.
Yep. So I think Rams will win the division. 49ers, Seattle, and who else is in that division?
Let's see.
Arizona. I forgot. So
Oh yeah,
Rams,
but they gonna
Rams,
be good.
49ers, and 49ers simply because they have an easier schedule. So Rams, 49ers, Cardinals, Seattle. That's how I'm going. Seattle's got a new quarterback. Kind of a,
Who knows
yeah.
how Sam's gonna do?
And
Yeah.
yeah,
I hope.
Seattle. He's not the coach in Minnesota. This guy in Seattle. So
I hope Milroe gets some chance to play.
Milroe will. They're going to run some packages for him. He's too athletic. So he'll get. I think Milroe is going to be one of those players that because he's smart and athletic, and he'll hang around as a backup with some package stuff. He'll be like a slash kind of player. He can come in spot start for you. He can get you about 4 or 5 starts if your starter goes down for a few weeks. I think, but I don't see him as a consistent starter. I like him.
It really is easy because they're playing the AFC South.
Yeah. So that's why I was excited because we play San Francisco the weekend of homecoming for FAMU, and it's in San Francisco, and it's a Sunday night game, so it's 8:00. So I'll be back. I can watch it on TV. So that's the best thing that came out of that whole schedule.
Yeah, okay. Man, I was going to go to the Vikings game. I was going to go to Paisley Park and all that. It's homecoming weekend. I was like,
and I think we need to go to homecoming. Just as an aside,
I'll be there.
Yeah, I think we need to go. So NBA.
We'll talk about Purdy's contract though.
Okay, let's talk about Purdy contract. Purdy signed what 5 year, 262.
So it's like 53 a year, right? About.
That's too high. The rent is too damn high.
He's behind from when I was looking at the he's over Lamar,
really,
Jalen, but he's less than Trevor. Tua, Dak is the highest still. I think he should have been paid, but a little bit less. Maybe like the mid to high 40s, based on the market. But based on the cap, they were saying it's just 18% of the cap versus people. He makes more than was like up to 24% of the cap. So it was a cap friendly deal, even though it was a lot.
5 years, $265 million.
I think he needed to get paid because
Purdy. He needed to get paid.
I don't think he should have been paid 53. I would give him 45.
45 seems about right, and it's not because he was the last pick of the draft. I know some people are trying to make that excuse. It's like, oh, he was the last pick.
I think he needs people.
If he'd have been a first-round draft pick, no. It is about, does he make the players around him better? No, he needs players around him. And I think this year, with them paying him that money, getting rid of Debo, Ayuk, and Trent Williams being,
he loses them games, but I think he needs people to.
He doesn't make his team better. The stat is this: he's 1-6 against playoff teams. Yes, they had injuries last year, but again,
but they didn't have people. They didn't have line. They didn't have Debo. They didn't have McCarthy.
If I'm giving you $53 million, see, it's easy to say, okay, it's not that bad because you're making $900,000. Now I'm paying you $53 million. The excuses are gone. You make $53 million. I don't care who's on the field. You got to make it work. You're the quarterback. You got to make it work.
Yeah, but he's not that person.
And he's not that person, and that's why he's a $45 million quarterback, not a 53. And that's where, if it wasn't for such an easy schedule, I would put Arizona over them. But their schedule is too easy. They're not playing any good quarterbacks, and so outside of the division, Murray and what's your boy in LA, the Rams.
The Rams.
Old man.
And they play the Chargers too, I think.
Yeah, outside of their division, yes, and then they play the Chargers.
Yeah.
But they're not playing only really good quarterbacks, and so
yeah, they play. Oh, that's preseason. So no, that's preseason. They play the Giants, which is a win. Outside of the division, but in the Tampa Bay.
They're gonna lose that game.
Where is it? It's at Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
And they play the Saints. So yeah, they're scheduled to.
Yeah, it's the Texans are gonna give it to them. Maybe. They look. They're playing the Browns, the Colts, the Bears, Seahawks. Never know. You don't know what the Bears going to be. They're playing the Saints. Tyler Shook. Like, look at the quarterbacks they're playing. They're going to lose the love. No, that's last year. That's last year. Yeah, that's last year. Okay, this year. Hold on.
Yeah, they got
Seahawks. You never know. Saints, they'll beat that. They'll beat them. Cardinals, they'll probably,
Rams.
Jaguars.
Right, yeah. Tennessee, they played the Titans. They play all of the AFC South.
Yeah.
AFC South, the Bears, the Giants, the Browns, the Rams. Yeah, that's an easy schedule.
And the Panthers, yeah. So they're not playing any quarterbacks worth a damn. So, but yeah, we'll see. Brock Purdy's going to have to earn that money.
Well, yeah, next year probably won't be a good judgment until they make until they play in the playoffs.
Okay, so in NBA, real quick before we get up out of here, the Celtics are out. They bet on themselves and lost. They thought that they could 3-point their way into another championship, and they didn't. And the Knicks played it smart, and New York is excited. And when the Knicks are relevant, ratings tend to get better.
That's true.
Across the country. So I'm happy, like your brother. I'm happy that the Knicks are good, and they're a fun team to watch.
Do you think the Knicks will win? Yes.
I would say this.
Because I think they would have lost that game.
Because the Pacers don't get a lot of television.
Jason, I'm talking about the Celtics. If he didn't get hurt,
they still would have lost.
I think they would have won that game.
They were losing at the time. The Celtics were losing at the time when he went down. They were down 8.
But I think they would have won that game.
He was the only one that was playing with the damn. He had 42 when he went down, and the rest of the team was stinking it up. So the Knicks had just gone on like a 12-something run to take that lead, and Jason probably would have given them a 50 piece, but I think it would have been in a losing effort. Now it's easy to speculate, but Jason was the only one that was playing that day, and then they came back and they made a good showing at home.
Yeah, I figured they would win that game, but I still thought the Knicks were going to win, and I figured they would win in Game 6 because they ain't won no Game 7.
I think Tyrese Halliburton is on a mission, and if the Knicks have to control the pace and the tempo in order for them to win, because if you let the Pacers control the pace and tempo, which they've done the first 2 rounds, they have destroyed.
And they're well rested.
And they have destroyed teams, and so
they're well rested because they've been chilling since.
Yeah, and Halliburton he's got a chip on his shoulder because he got voted the most overrated player in the league, and so he's giving people work. So he's been
clutch.
I think it would be great for the NBA for the Knicks to be in the NBA Finals. I think it would be fantastic for the league to have the Knicks in the NBA Finals. But I can't count out the Pacers. We'll see. And then on the other side,
OKC and Ant-Man, Minnesota.
I think the league wants Ant-Man to win because he's the most marketable player in this matchup. The best player is SGA, but the most marketable player is.
Amen. So who you think gonna win though? Out of those two?
I think the Thunder are going to win. Their defense is just phenomenal. You saw what they did to Denver in the last game. They just clamped down on them and just ran them out the building. And I don't think that Minnesota has enough around Ant-Man, offense around him, to overcome the defense that OKC has. So I think OKC wins it in 6. They're more battle tested, and Ant's going to have some good games. But I think his shooting percentage is going to be low. He's probably going to shoot, probably 32% but he'll have like 30 something points, but he's going to have to put up like 18, 20, 25, 26 shots to get those points. He's going to have to get to the line. He's going to have to find ways to score because they're going to double team him. They're going to switch on him. They're going to make sure that the ball is not in his hands. And his teammates are going to have to pick him up, but I just don't see them doing it in a significant way. But yeah, you never know. So I'm thinking OKC.
First OKC in the finals.
I think OKC and the Knicks would be good. I think the one that I wouldn't want to see is I don't think the NBA wants Minnesota in Indianapolis. I know that.
If the Knicks play OKC, who you think would take it?
I think OKC. The Knicks, they're gritty. They play a great brand of basketball. I don't think they have enough like pure scorers. And SJ is a problem. And then you've got what's the white boy's name? Little skinny dude. He's coming up. And that defense, they've had the number one defense all season long, and it's shown. And they're letting them play more physical in the playoffs, and they're more battle tested because they just played a sound Denver team.
Yeah, they did.
So I would love to see the Knicks get in, and I'll either out of the West.
I like Ant-Man, but I like OKC too.
I think if OKC loses, that team might need to get some changes because remember last year they were number one, they lost in the playoffs, and then this year they're number one again. If they lose again, then you might want to start because now it's in their psyche.
But I think they lost earlier though last year.
They did. They lost in the second round.
Yeah.
But yeah, I want OKC to win it just so they can, because every championship windows aren't open forever. And you can't be the best team in the regular season 2 years in a row. Ask the Celtics how that works out, right?
Yeah, and I wonder what's going to happen with them as far as the team. What changes?
What, the Celtics? Yes, because
they're playing Brown and they're playing.
But when you lose Jason. They ran it back and it didn't work. So they're gonna have to. Kristaps Porzingis, don't know what's up with him.
Yeah, he hasn't been 100%.
That mysterious illness is coming on. Pritchard is a good bench guy. Derek White, is he your second option now? Like Derek White? I just don't see it. With Boston, so they're gonna have to. Maybe they can make a Giannis play, make a play for Giannis, but who would they trade to get Giannis?
I don't think Giannis wants to go to.
They got the draft compensation to get Giannis.
But I don't think Giannis wants to go to the South.
I think Giannis needs to stay in the East.
I agree with that. I think Giannis needs to stay where he is, but
nah, he needs to get out of Milwaukee.
I think he needs to stay in Milwaukee.
Nah, that team is old and overpaid.
I do.
Yeah. I disagree on that one. I think he needs to go. I think he needs to go to.
I like the idea that he wants to stay there, and I want them to bring people to him. I don't know. I like that, but he might be considered.
They brought in Dame Lillard, and it didn't work.
Dame got hurt, which the whole blood clot and then Achilles. So what can you do?
I think the hardest thing about the Celtics with Jason's injury coming in the playoffs, he's going to miss over half of next year. I mean, how long an Achilles takes to.
Yeah, especially basketball.
Rehab, and then he's got to heal, then he's got to go to rehab, then he's got to get back into shape. It's like even once he gets done with rehab, he's got to get back into game shape. That's probably what, January, February before he can look at playing meaningful basketball.
Surgery. What's this? May?
Yeah, he's already had the surgery.
May to June. Yeah, he had the surgery the day after. May to June. I'm thinking December, January.
Okay.
Well, it depends. He might be faster. His surgeon is HSS. He might have did some special stuff. Who knows?
Yeah, I is and then how effective is he going to be when he comes back? Where will they be as a team? So they've got some questions. They're probably the team that has the biggest offseason questions.
Well,
of the good
in
team.
Milwaukee, what's Giannis gonna do? Dame gonna be out just as long.
Yep, because Dame. Yeah, yep. So Dame and him, and Dame is much older. He's got more miles on them tires, so his comeback is probably gonna be even longer. Just you heal slower when you're older. You know that. And what team is Giannis going to be on that team? Or are they going? So there's a lot of questions around Milwaukee. There's questions about the Lakers. The Lakers have been fat shaming Luka.
Strength coach.
So I he may not re-sign with them because they keep fat shaming him. I'm like, bruh, like what? If you don't let LeBron lead that, like let the players police that. Like you don't do it as an organization.
Man, don't put it out there in the public, man.
That was ridiculous. It's just it was just stupid.
I feel bad for him. I actually like him.
I like him too. I do think that just because they're right,
he could be in better shape. But it's the way you do things.
Be in better shape.
It's the way you do things.
It's terrible the way they're doing it. I'm like, you don't.
The whole trade to begin with. He already feeling bad.
Yeah, I mean, he needs to get in better shape.
I agree with that. But it's the way you do it. Sometimes I don't know.
Because you saw how the Lakers were this playoff run, if you call it that, the 5 games that they play, is exemplary of who they are. 40-year-old LeBron, he was running out of gas, and Fat Luka was running out of gas. So in every game, they were ahead going into the fourth quarter, and they lost every single fourth quarter. Yeah. Except for the game that they won. And I think maybe they just held on. Maybe they lost the quarter, but they had enough to win to pull that game out. But every other fourth quarter, they lost because they just ran out of gas. You got a 40-year-old and a fat dude. So what you gonna do? So
so what they gonna what is Golden State? Are they gonna make any changes?
They're old and they're expensive. What changes we made? They're probably going to trade the center, not the center, but yeah. But Draymond is old. Steph is old. I mean, he'll be 38, coming off of so injury. Jimmy is older, and they're savvy and skilled enough to be dangerous, but I don't think they can win a title.
I think they need something. I mean, I think they can win another title, but with some changes.
Yeah. So yeah, they're going to trade some players. I think the team to watch to see what they do is Phoenix in the offseason because they've got some real issues. They're operating on the big three.
What KD gonna
do? The team that KD should probably go to is Houston because they need a go-to scorer. That team is young, athletic, hungry, and very, very good and well coached. They need a go-to guy that can get them a bucket when they need one because that's what cost them in their playoff series. Who they lose to? Denver?
Did they lose to Denver?
Yeah, I think they lost to
Golden State.
Golden State, that's right. They lost to Golden State. I think that's what cost them because at the end of these games, they just didn't have anybody. Jalen Green was on a milk carton. He was a no-show. And then who's the other guys? Like you had the guy from Alabama, he's good, but needs more time. You had the rookie, the twin, he's good. So they've got a lot of good young athletic players that play hard, but they don't have that winning mentality. And I think they need somebody on that team, a veteran, like a KD or a Giannis, if Giannis wants to go
I
to
think
the
Giannis
West.
would be better if he wants to go to.
But they need somebody they can put the ball in their hands and they're gonna go get a basket. And that's either KD or Giannis. Um, Giannis makes more sense um, because they're he could be a big on that team. KD doesn't play in the paint, so and they've got a big. So like they've got some really good pieces. I love the way the coach has reinvented himself.
Clippers. The Clippers. What about the Clippers?
Kawhi.
Kawhi actually did okay in the playoffs. James disappeared. I never liked James. James disappeared in the playoffs. Kawhi made it. At least he was healthy. He made it through the playoffs.
If I was a Clippers fan, I'd be playing Outcast right now. Damn, 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 James. Because you know what you get. Like it's not a narrative. It is a reality of James Harden in Game Sevens in the playoffs. Milk carton time. No show. Can't find him. Can't find him. So I think the Clippers are going to be good in the regular season. They have a good heady team, and then Kawhi's going to go out a couple of times with a knee or a leg or a muscle or something. But he was healthy in the playoffs and he played well. He played well.
I was surprised.
But he lost his sidekick, and so
James. James. I'm not a fan of James.
I'm definitely not a fan of him in the playoffs.
Definitely not.
He's you know Westbrook. Westbrook will play well, and then when it comes time when you really need him to play well, he doesn't show up. You saw what happened.
In Denver, but I love Westbrook though.
He plays hard. I respect him as a player. I won't disrespect him and his legacy because he's done a lot in this league. I don't trust him to lead a team or to be to play winning basketball. He just plays
old too.
Yes, and his shooting has gotten worse.
But I like his heart.
Yes, heart, energy. You want that guy.
It's trash. The Clippers. We was talking much trash that night. He aimed to show up.
He did. But yeah, so I think Denver has some questions to get answered because even Jokic said the Joker said they need more depth.
I agree. They go coach because he was coaching pretty much from the freaking bench.
And they fired dude with 3 games left in the season. For them to make it this far was miraculous. But they need more depth, so they're gonna have to trade a piece to get something back, to get some more bench depth because when Joker is off the floor, they are hard to watch.
I like Joker though. He got hard too.
They're hard to watch. So San Antonio is going to be interesting when Wemby comes back because now you've got back-to-back Rookie of the Year.
They're gonna have a new coach though.
And what do you think about number 1 pick going to Dallas?
I don't know. That's weird though. It's kind of. I mean, I don't know because I don't know he's gonna fit in their little system right now. But people were talking about they should trade him and not keep him. But then talking about general manager, people really hate him. But they got rid of.
Oh yeah. If he wants to be have a good life and be able to get a meal in Dallas, he's gonna have to keep that pick.
So I think it's ironic because they had like a 1.8% chance of getting a pick in there. And people are talking about the NFL needs a lottery. I'm like, no, they don't.
I think it would be interesting for the NFL to have a lottery. But I think it's working. Like the only thing I think the only idea that I think could and probably should get implemented is the playoff order needs to get reshuffled.
They're
But
voting on that. That's one of the three things they're voting on at their meeting. The tush push is one of them.
yeah,
That flat and should NFL players play in the flag football, which I don't think they should.
they're playing pickup basketball. They're doing stuff. So it's like
But I
that's
just think they should play in the Olympics and it's late too. Like, what if your star player gets hurt playing flag football?
Robert Edwards is my number one example. Remember Robert Edwards? He was a running back at UGA, and he was playing for, I think he was playing for Denver.
Mm-hmm.
He was somewhere. He was a good running back, and it was I think it was after his first or second year in the league.
No, the 4-wheeler or something.
No, he's the one that was playing for the Pro Bowl. They were playing beach football.
Oh, okay.
They would play football on the beach, and he tore his whole knee up, ended his career. Now they
that can be very dangerous.
Like they won't be playing in sand.
Warrior people, they have more injuries than flag football is not. Even though it's flag football, they get hurt.
It would be interesting to see NFL players in it, but I would tell you this: flag football is a different game. Like NFL players play it like when they're playing at the Pro Bowl and stuff like that. They are playing NFL football with flags. When you're playing flag football, it's a lot of crossing routes, it's a lot of pitching. It's very, very quick because they don't have NFL athletes. So they do a lot of misdirection, timing. You can't just out-athlete. When you get to those better teams, you can't out-athlete them. And yeah, they'll have the better athletes, but it's a different game. And so even more so than basketball. And I think I know what they're trying to do is boost the ratings by putting NFL players in it and elevating some of the players' brands. So some players are going to want to do it for that reason.
They said it would be one person if they go past one person from each team.
Yeah, we'll see. I'm not a big fan of that, but I do think
that out. So from the practice squad, I mean,
I do think that them banning the tush push is a bit of a cop out, and it's some bullshit.
I agree.
In my opinion, if you can't stop it, whatever,
And I think that what's messed up is Sean McDermott. They use it, and then he talking about it's not safe. Anybody got hurt on the push tush?
Nobody's gotten. That's the narrative that they're trying to push. Oh, it's for player safety. No, it's not. No, it's not.
And I don't think they should change the playoff rating.
When Jalen Hurts hurt his leg, he was outside the pocket.
He
was running. It wasn't a tush push.
No, it's not.
Nobody got hurt in a tush push.
Yeah.
So I mean,
other team maybe. I ain't never forget when we played Washington and dude kept.
I think more quarterbacks get hurt on traditional quarterback sneaks than they do on the tush push.
I agree.
They get the shoulders and stuff like that. So the tush push actually is more protective than the traditional quarterback sneak. I just think teams realize they can't stop it, and when you can't stop it, when the Eagles have the ball, it's 1st and 8. Because if they get inside of 2 yards, they're going to just push their way to the first down.
We need to use it on every down when we play the Green Bay because they're the one that brought it up initially.
Yeah, and they're lobbying everybody to try to get rid of it. So we'll see. They don't. When they had it the first time, they didn't have enough votes to ban it, and I don't know if they have enough this time, but we'll see. But
You think they change the playoff seed?
My only concern about them changing the playoff seed is the rivalries.
I know divisional games actually mean something a lot.
Yes. So what's happening at the end of y'all season? You got to play the Eagles and the Commanders play twice in the last 3 weeks. That could be for the division. But if the records don't play it out, you're like, well, whatever. And if you win the division,
we played them twice. We might play them 3 times if we both make the playoffs.
And if you win the division, you're supposed to get that home game. That was the incentive to not suck. So now it's about winning every game and not just your division. So it changes your strategy as a team.
Yeah.
And he's like, hey, because
and then you take away the rivalry. Everybody wants to see those rivalries, the Cowboys, the Eagles,
Yeah. Yeah, and it changes scheduling and all that stuff too. So I think it's a good idea because I think a team like Minnesota got screwed last year because they had to play. They
They had
won
to,
14
yeah, yeah.
wins, but then they had to play on the road um, in that first weekend. They lost. So
They're the one that brought it up. Yeah. So
yes, so I do think that it makes sense from that perspective that a team shouldn't be penalized just because they're playing a good division, and that's the thinking behind it. And it feels like, yeah, you have the better record. You should be playing at home, not on the road.
but
Nobody should have gone to Tampa last year, but Tampa was a division winner, so they got a home game.
Tampa in December might not be too bad though compared to September. Anyway, but playoff game. Well, playoff game compared to say somewhere up north in December. Like the
But yeah,
Bill game I want to go to is December 28th. It's gonna be crazy.
well, I'm about to be an empty nester. I'm going to be hitting more away games and seeing new stadiums and things like that. So
What? Your frat brothers do a little yearly trip to a different stadium. Will and Tori.
yeah, that's spring '93. They do that. Yeah, so I know they do it as their line. I don't know if they'd be open to me jumping on that. Let me hijack y'all too. So I'll see if I can get somebody to do it with me this year. Another empty nester, some other folks, and say, hey, let's I want to go to Vegas Stadium. I want to go to
What are two?
I want to go to Seattle and see the 12th man.
Yeah.
I want to go to LA, see the Rams.
The Rams. That's my favorite stadium so far.
Yeah, I want to see that one. So there's a few on my list. So yeah, looking forward to that next stage, especially in the fall, because when the spring starts, it'll be track season again, and it'll be college track versus high school. So the continue.
Where's your son going?
Right now, he's got an offer from Kennesaw State, but he is getting looks from UGA in Tennessee because of his performance this year. So they just finished the conference meet, so they'll be getting back to him this week, and then we'll see what they're talking about. But he still has Kennesaw State and already with the offer on the table. So if they're not talking the right thing, then he'll be at Kennesaw State. So we'll see. All right, y'all. Gotta run. I'll let y'all.
All right, couple weeks.
Yeah, I'm a couple weeks.